there you have it. My gosh, episode 3 of Trigun Stampede. Whew, they just went right into it. We're not even taking our break. We're not gonna mess around with Vash going around and being goofy and doing stuff. No, we're just gonna get right into Knives. Full on introduction, and Orange did not hold back. I don't even think the original series was this graphic. This episode was super graphic. So, content warning. I don't know. Typically, they put content warning stuffs up. I don't think Crunchyroll has ever done that. I know that Funimation did all the time. They would constantly put up content warnings. But yeah, I guess since they technically do have an age block, but yeah, people blowing up left and right and slicing up things. That was this episode. But again, there's a couple things that kind of jumps out at me with this episode. One, Millie is still not present, so our number 3 docket counter is there. 2, yes, Knives showing up. 3, the Doctor. I don't even think the Doctor was in the original anime adaptation. I think he's in the manga. But the last thing, that's the interesting thing. They introduced, I think, a new character. I don't remember this character in the original anime adaptation. I have not read the manga. I can't find a character listing in any of the databases for this character, for even the manga, which brings up a huge question mark, but I'll get into that character introduction in a minute. Let's start from the beginning. Being said, it's just more fun, crazy action. Plus, like I said, just really establishing the violence. It's almost like they used E.G. the Mind to really kind of introduce us to, yeah, things are going to start to get really kind of violent. It's like they ease us into it. Obviously, with this poor dude getting blown up in the end of last episode, I really wasn't sure if they were going to follow through with it. Like, okay, it blows up, and then you see him, and he's got charge marks all over himself. No, he's gone. And then suddenly this other guy gets marked, and he just like walks away like, yes, take care of everybody. And he starts running and he blows up and blood splats. I'm like, okay, never mind. We're going in that direction. We're going to get super violent. But it kind of wrapped up that pretty decently. I mean, this is the dumb part is that they go, he likes to watch. E.g. the bomber loves to watch. And so immediately Vash looks around and sees this upper area where he's at and shoots at him. He goes all the way down to the entrance. He gets into his big old suit thing and then he goes back up. Like, he could have just went down to the plant, but he came down to the entrance so that he can go through. I guess it makes sense because he said that he's not killing to steal. He's stealing so that he can kill. So he probably did all this stuff just so he can take out more people. But anyway, so he goes and gets the cube thing, and then they manage to capture him. We do this again, the Vash, no, revenge is not the answer thing, which again is a staple for him, I guess. But then yes, the introduction to the real human typhoon. Now they did technically drop the name there with Roberto saying Vash the human typhoon, everywhere he goes becomes a typhoon of destruction basically. But no, Knives shows up, which is a huge shock. I think even the original series, it took quite a while before we even showed him, which I don't care. I know that's a big sticking point for a lot of people doing this stuff early on. It makes sense to me if they're planning on doing something different, which again, in this episode, we sort of get a sign of that. But no, I almost thought they were kind of just teasing him because they had the reports talking about a typhoon coming somewhere, and they briefly show him with his cloak walking. I wasn't really sure if he was going to this particular town, I guess, if I paid attention to the name they were saying. But yes, Knives shows up, and Mine goes immediately to him and gets splattered. And then, yeah, Vash immediately knows who he is because he hears the music and tells everybody to run away. He knows immediately what's going on here, and he panics. But yes, nobody leaves because nobody knows how to listen. I got a kick out of it because even some people, I think even Roberta was saying, all right, let's go. And yet they still somehow end up in the town when this is all happening. It's like, why the hell did you people not stay out of town? But no, when Vash first confronts Knives, we had a few little information drops here. Yes, Vash saying, why are you here? Don't be here. Why are you doing this? You haven't changed. Knives said something to the effect of, have you ever wanted to see God? But specifically that he's taking back what belongs to him, rather what belongs to them, both Vash and Knives, which yes, are these plants. Again, the kind of backstory they're showing is that he destroyed these ships, it came down to Earth, mankind that survived took some of these plants to create plants to thus give them resources because there's nothing on this particular planet. And he wants to take them all back, and yes, he's taking out tons of people at the same time. But the question that he's asking Vash is, whose side are you on? They don't deserve these things. These are ours, and they've taken them from us. Whose side are you on? And the weird thing that happens, I don't even remember this from the original. Vash says you haven't changed at all, and Knives says, neither have you. Touches him and says, you can't even control your gate yet. Which, again, I don't even remember what the gate thing is. But this puts Vash in some sort of sleep state, some sort of inner state, which allows Knives to pretty much go up and massacre more and more people. But this is where things get interesting. Somebody else shows up. The Doctor. He shows up with this big old huge behemoth thingy that I don't know if it's a person or a robot, but additionally, another person, a girl or maybe possibly just a feminine looking boy. And that's where my question mark is raising. And it's sad that I'm looking online everywhere and nobody's mentioning this. Nope, it just completely passed everybody. This, I'm gonna call a girl. This girl should be significant because again, even though I haven't read the manga, I don't see her in any database. And why it's important is that she's wearing a long white shirt just like Vash and Knives did when they were young. And additionally, she has the same hair as them. So who the hell is she? Is she one of the children that was in one of the pods, or possibly is it a child of Knives? That's the big question mark. Is she a clone the Doctor made of Knives? Is she one of these kids that were one of the pods that survived? That's my big question mark. My assumption is going to be that she's probably a clone by the Doctor and Knives. Just because of her age. Unless these pods that they were in preserves their age, because obviously Knives and Vash have grown up since that day. And I'm really curious as to what she's going to add to the story. It's always, again, even the original one, it's always been about Vash versus Knives. It's always been about oneself versus the masses. Peace versus war. Violence versus coexistence. That kind of thing. They're the opposites of the moral spectrum. And I'm curious what she will bring to the picture besides just being one of Knives' subordinates. But anyhow, Knives goes the top part, basically decimates a bunch of more people, goes true to his name and creates a million knives that just completely slice the hell out of the top of this mountain and let it crash down onto the city itself. Really cool, by the way. I mean, that's something that's always been kind of cool in anime. I think that a lot of them have kind of this idea of this almost halo of destruction. It looked really cool. I think, like, overall, I think this entire episode had some amazing visual stuff with the CGI that they're doing. Again, mass credits for, even though it's CGI, some really amazing looking CGI. But yes, Knives and Doctor and this other girl leave along with the plants, and nothing but ruin and destruction left behind. And yes, true to the typical, the lady that Vash saved her life obviously tells him to get the hell out of there because it's his fault. He's your brother, right? You brought this here, get out of here. Because apparently because Vash is there, that means that his brother was drawn to there and destroying everything. She immediately knows all this. Honestly, kind of understandable in the idea of it's a sibling. There's a possibly connection between the two of you. I'm mourning and there's destruction around me. Everybody is pretty much dead and my son might be dead. I need to take this out on somebody, and it's Vash. But no, it kind of concludes with Meryl asking why Vash is still smiling. He's not allowed to be upset, and he's heading to July, the third city, where he is. So crazy, crazy episode. Again, like I said, super violent, and pretty much set the stage for the rest of the series. If you don't think this is going to get serious and violent, there's your warning, apparently. I like how they kind of hit on one major aspect that I think I remember from the original series, and the idea that Knives sees Vash's actions as a way of self-fulfilling in a way. Like, you're doing this to cure your loneliness. Again, Knives is choosing his own path of reclaiming the things that he believes he owns, whereas Vash is being the hero just to cure his own loneliness, using his abilities just to get the praise and the acceptance of the people, which honestly Knives sees as insects. But anyways, great episode. I think overall I really enjoyed this episode. It was lots of action, lots of animation, very serious, some really cool moments with Knives, despite the fact that he pretty much massacred a bunch of people, which was unsettling. Additionally, I've seen some previews of the next episode, and it looks like there will be a very important character showing up next episode, possibly. But we'll see. I'm not going to say anything so that people don't get spoiled, but yeah, pretty exciting stuff. I know that I was really negative on the second episode, mainly around the writing and how it just felt weird how they were kept bringing up him running away, but this episode kind of restored a lot of my hope for the series. So I'm excited for where it's going from here. But anyhow, that's my thoughts on episode 3 of Trigun Stampede. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure that like button down below, comment, let me know what you thought of the episode. Do you know who this girl is? Am I just completely missing who she is? Was she in the story before? And if she wasn't, Who do you think she is? Additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button so you get all my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you want to support the channel more, we have a Patreon link, a tips link, and a super thanks button down below. I greatly appreciate everybody that supports the channel, and y'all take care.